So yeah, so I was going to go through the user interface changes, then um, do some codex work in the Tinker section, the workshop, and just see how everything kind of pans out. Feel free to pop in and give your opinions on different stuff as well. Amazing. Okay, so there was a slight UI change last night, kind of like making everything a little bit less clunky, and so everything is kind of on one toolbar and you can see everything. So now you have your plan, right, everything up here, and the individual interfaces within that section, and your settings are now at the bottom, along with your kind of AI prompts and export features. This is the same if you go into the right interface and review. If you go into the Tinker interface, you now have all your chats saved in the sidebar. So you've got your chats here, so you can see them all. And it kind of means as well that if you're, say, you know, writing around and you want to go into a chat, you can kind of click and directly go on. So it kind of makes things a little bit easier, more intuitive, and I really like it. So yes, if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. I'll check back in a minute or two. But I'm going to show some prompts that Hannah has been working on, and I've kind of edited to work with my stuff. So one of the big questions that's been asked recently is kind of what to put in the codex. Like, what is the most essential information that the AI actually needs to know in order to write your character kind of in a way that sounds like your character. So I personally, when I make my characters, I try and not put physical descriptions, because if you mention an eye colour, then it will get mentioned every other sentence that involves that character. Like, the AI loves physical descriptions. Like, have them in for your first chapter or add them in manually. But other than that, I tend to leave them out. The kind of things I do put in are skills, pronouns, little details about the background and their conflicts and motivations that may come up, particularly if you're writing in their point of view. I took a moment to ask the AI, I was on ChatGPT, basically what it believes it needs in order to more accurately write a character. So yeah, so we went for basic information, physical description, although I choose not to use that. There was traits, speech patterns, backstory, kind of a bunch of things. I then went and asked it to give me the 7 most important ones, kind of, because otherwise you end up with a huge codex. And it went for, yeah, kind of the basic information, description, personality, speech, backstory, motivations, and skills. As Space says, yeah, you can put any information that you don't put into your codex entry into the kind of notes section within that codex entry, so the AI doesn't use it. So I thought, okay, well, taking that, I then went to Tinker. So here you have your select your AI, and then I've kind of got some character, item, location prompts. So if we go on to edit AI prompt, we can have a little kind of closer look at what's under the hood, as it were. It's kind of great, this, because you can really tailor your prompts and then you don't have to keep writing them out each time. Like, you can just go on the interface you want, pick your model, and everything is nice. So if we go onto the codex character, you can see the models. I think these are just the default models that I use based off the system prompt. I always kind of like keep refreshing and recopying from the system prompt and editing it, because Space adds all the new AI models and they don't get automatically added to your own prompts. You have to like manually do it, and I'm lazy. So yes, they got the new turbo. I'm quite liking for like factual things using 3.5, because it doesn't need any or as much creativity. And then on the instructions, it's basically kind of a prompt that you basically brain dump your character into the Tinker interface, and it kind of comes up and it condenses it into traits and emotions, reactions, internal versus external conflicts and thoughts, significant relationships, unique phrases or behaviors, and motivations and goals. And then there's kind of some bits that have like to relate to if you've put your series on, or your the various aspects in the context window. However, I don't need to do that. I've only written, a tiny bit. So I'm going to go select AI, character, 3.5 turbo. I'm going to basically take what we worked with Abby last session and just plunk it in, see what it does. Okay. When it's so that's 300 words. So traits, emotions, she's pessimist. Yeah. Okay, amazing. It's kind of like taken everything. There's probably things I would edit kind of manually. Well, that's a good start. So what I'm then going to do is select AI general purpose 3.5 and be can you condense this information maintaining the spirit of the character bio whilst removing any words or phrases that are adding bulk. And I always do that. I always press enter and expect it to send, because I'm used to that on GPT. But I do like that this doesn't do that. But yeah, so you can see, so before we had 303 words, and now it's 143. And it's kind of, yeah, it's just the basic details. So I'm going to copy and paste that. So it's outputting with the bold and stuff because I've asked it to maintain the markdown, which I think does the formatting, if I'm not mistaken. I suppose. Okay, actually, I'm going to take that. I'm going to copy the original and just put that into a snippet, just in case the worst should happen. And then I'm going to put this in. Correct for English spelling. Pessimistic, resigned to growing grey, addicted to coffee, quick, low attention span, values personal space and pushes through crowds, easily annoyed by noisy neighbours, expects the worst, impatient. Okay, so you can see it's got some bits that are the same in both sections, so you can kind of get rid of those. So her internal motivations, but I decided to improve her. So it's kind of focused on the art a lot, and I've just had that as like kind of her hobby outside of work. And given that she's not a main character, it's not so I'm changing that to maintain a good work-life balance. Bit more kind of general for what I'm wanting for this character. External, edgy, appears edgy and impatient, speaking quickly, asserting her need for personal space, values privacy and individual pursuits. Okay, yeah, fits, close one with the cat. Unique phrase or behaviors. Gets. Wow, it's really loving this coffee stuff. So, like, you can see here that the AI kind of, like with a description, a physical description, it's taken coffee being mentioned, and it's really just been like, let's have this in everywhere. Like, just everything is to do with coffee now, which the coffee is a plot device for the first chapter. It's not necessarily everything. Motivations and goals improve. I want to say saving enough money in. Okay. So that's kind of like my improvements to that first bio. So now what I'm going to do is take this and kind of apply the same principles, but to a location. So I'm going to start a new conversation, select AI, location, GPT. Do any of you have any visualizations that you believe would fit in to Abby's flat for this this example? If not, I'm going to do a within that original prompt. I would like you to imagine the flat belonging to the following person. Her name is Abby, and she works for, I guess, the government. And then at the end, I'm going to put, please give me 2 versions of this flat. Let's see how it does. Okay, Abby Wentworth's flat. So he's pulled out from the codex what her thing is. Yeah, I like, space. I agree. Like, something boho I was kind of imagining. Let's see what the AI has proposed. Version 1, serene and peaceful, stark contrast to the city, soft pastel shades adorn the walls, large windows. I mean, I'm loving the vibe, but I feel like she's not got the budget for quite this. The atmosphere nowadays is quirky and vibrant. Okay, these are really nice. Take the same vibe, but... Oh, my mic sounds weird. Maybe if I switch my mic, would that help? Hey, is that any better? Can you, does that sound any better? I've switched to my laptop mic. Okay, well, let me know when that change has happened. So I'm saying take that same vibe, but give it a more boho feel and lower the budget. She lives in a mid-tier flat, rents, but is within commutable distance in the city. Space, have you got me on to YouTube as things, like on the actual, like on the interface and then also on a video maybe? If other people could comment, that would be really great. Just let me know if you're hearing double or not. Okay. She lives in a mid-tier flat, rents but within commutable distance of the city. Yeah, that feels about right. And I did it again. Okay, let's see what the AI says. Oh, hello, Lindsay. How are you doing? Let me know if you've got any questions about anything that I'm showing here. Okay. The atmosphere in her exudes a bohemian charm, reflecting a mix of eclectic and laid-back vibes. The space feels cozy and inviting, with a hint of artistic flair woven into its relaxed ambience. The flat boasts mismatched thrifted furniture. Oh, I like that. One of you mentioned thrifted before. Adding character and warmth to the space while keeping within budget. Vibrant pastel-coloured throws. I feel like you can't really have vibrant pastels, but you know. Creating a cozy and comforting atmosphere. Art pieces mainly thrifted or homemade line the walls, showcasing Abby's creativity and a love for art. A dedicated nook for her cat is fashioned from repurposed materials, reflecting her resourcefulness and care for her beloved pet. Cultural lore-specific elements. Abby's flat embodies a boho chic aesthetic, combining thrifted decor and DIY projects to create a unique and artistic living space. Despite living within a modest budget, she has managed to infuse her home with art, pastels. Okay, right. I'm then going to go onto the general purpose AI. Yeah, I like Bohemian Charm. Okay, please condense this location codex entry, maintaining the spirit but removing any duplicate descriptions and unnecessary words. So I'm going to put that into Abby's flat. Bohemian Charm, I see that there. I'm getting rid of Vibrant because okay. I'm then going to ask the AI, please detail 5 objects within this flat that Abby may 5 objects in this flat that Abby may relate to on a personal level. Trinkets or things that she loves / would save in a fire. Why not? Okay, let's see what's popping. So, mismatched armchair with... Oh, I'm going to say, okay, so she has... armchair with crochet... Hello, Nimentrix. Armchair with a crocheted blanket. Okay, well, I mean, a cat-shaped ceramic figurine, cool, but dangerous if there's an actual cat there. Like, I'm going to say... Okay, I got this. A cat-shaped ceramic figurine missing an ear from when it was knocked off. Aromatic coffee mug. Okay, well, I mean, I think they're meaning a coffee mug with coffee and that smells good. It's still really loving that coffee. Oh, vintage printed rug. Yeah, okay. Okay. Yeah, no, I like those details. Okay, so that's built up her flat. So that's how you can use the codex to show how that works. I'll give you a quick look on the instructions. So basically, we've asked it to rewrite whatever our brain dump has been to give more of an idea about it. So the atmosphere and mood, significant features, and cultural or law-specific elements. If we go into the series Bible, actually, so this is something I've missed out from previous, so I'm going to go back. This is from the first book in the series I'm kind of working on simultaneously. I have a few locations, so we want the office. Move to series. Go on. I've also not thought of a name for this book yet, so if anyone has any ideas, I'm always open. But yeah, so now we've got, in the series thing, the office. So I'm going to go... So at the moment, I've not finished editing this. But this is somewhere that I would add an addition, because at the beginning of the first book, it's only occupied by Johann. However, as Alexandra then becomes part of the team, it then will start reflecting her personality. So I would make those additions. And I guess if I'd finished the first book, I would just cut out all the original stuff. But I kind of started working on that. Okay, so now that we've kind of had a little look at the original, like the kind of the in the Tinker, the AI, and we've kind of had a few chats. Before we do that, you can also name your chat. So Abby Rentworth codex entry and Abby's flat codex entry. You can also favorite them, and that kind of pins them to the top. So that's pretty useful if you have, like, in some of my other books, I have like key information and kind of things I want to change to the plot and I just need to put in. And you can also do that with like your snippets. You can pin them up. So in my plan section, I've got a lot of the stuff from when we were working on it last session. However, I have kind of changed a couple of things just based on ideas that I had. So originally we'd all kind of been like, okay, well, Abby's going to have a really, insert word here, job, and she's going to work at a call center. And I was like, okay, well, how can we make that even more demoralizing? And I was like, she's working for an election campaign, getting donations. Because there's kind of like running through, there's a lot of kind of the series, the kind of police equivalent commissioner and the mayor are best buddies and they kind of interfere a bit. And so it's kind of like the investigators have to work around that. So I thought, well, if there's like a re-election campaign and she's working to get donations, it adds a bit to the general demoralization of everything. So I was like, I'm going to give that a go. Oh, hello. I don't know how you pronounce that. Ma'am? But hello and welcome to the chat. So I've got some subplots. So I used within this book oh my God, you are the absolute best.
You try.
My husband has just brought me a cup of tea. I am sustained now. So I've put in some subplots in the labels and markers. So you can add, like, there are some already kind of there, or you can add your own. So I've got the Abby subplot, a subplot related to the personal lives of the investigators, the mayoral elections, which a lot of these
non-magicals becoming magic, briefly, is going to interfere with. So there's a lot of additional pressure coming from that, on the investigators. That's kind of like the external motivation to actually get this solved. Is kind of pressure from high up because it's starting to impact on the mayor's luck. And then magic-infused artifacts, because I was like, so if there are these moments where there's a big release of magical energy, as these non-magical people suddenly are kind of exploding with power. They're fine after, but like the magic's there. I was like, okay, so what if that then starts infusing other stuff, like the energy goes into objects and things and stuff? How would that then affect things? So there's kind of a side plot where there are these kind of like magic items that aren't supposed to exist that are kind of going around, also kind of then causing havoc. And so it's kind of like a being steamrollered, and kind of keeps going. So that was my thoughts within these kind of subplots. I have some of the end scenes kind of already planned out, but I think for now, let's start with finishing this prologue that we were all working on because you all fell in love with Abby. I've got some ideas for a subplot involving her that gives her more screen time if anyone's interested in getting spoilers. It kind of spoils the entire, like, plot, if you know, but on the other hand, it's kind of fun to talk about, so yeah. But for now, we'll continue on this and start looking at the beats. So when I used to write, like, when I first started working with AI, I started kind of with, I think what a lot of people do is like they'll get the scene summary, then they'll write their 12 beats or whatever in as much detail, and then kind of chuck them into the AI in a super prompt, be like, yes, get me the chapter. However, like the AI context like window, like they can take in a lot of information, but there's only so much they can regurgitate out. They get a bit fatigued. Especially kind of more open source free model or cheaper models. So what I like to do now, or what I then did before Novel Crafter, was take that concept and like put 1 or 2 beats in it at a time and kind of slowly do it that way. However, you still have to like retype in your prompts each time. And so now what I do is I'll start with, I'll just kind of write what I think is going to happen in the scene. The AI, I'll generate a few options, kit bash them together so it starts getting my voice, and then move on. And that's kind of given me a lot more freedom when creating. Like, if the AI is suddenly like, this happens, I'm like, yes, that does happen, actually. That's a really good idea. I can just be like, that's fine, I've not wasted time making beats for stuff later. Or if I decide to change tack myself, it's kind of a lot more casual and it feels still creative because I'm not knowing in advance exactly what is going to happen. And it also feels more collaborative because I'm bouncing ideas with the AI, like it's suggesting these things and I'm like, yes, that, not that, that's weird, why have you said that? Why is everything in one paragraph? But I like that sentence there. And it really does feel kind of a bit more collaborative than taking an entire chapter generated and having to kind of go through it. Of course, you can do that still. You can put in each beat, get it to generate an entire chapter, remove your beats, and then edit. It's flexible in that it works for both ways, but I find that this really works for me and what I need as a writer. So we were working last time with some beats. We kind of generated the first half, and then I've kind of generated what I want for the beats for the remainder, because while I was still kind of on a roll, but I've not generated any text. And I did that because I wanted to go through with you what my what edited prompts I use, and a little bit about like messing around with the settings, because I think a lot of things that when you first start with AI, it's very intimidating because there are so many models, and you don't know what they're going to come up with. There's a lot of like possibilities, parameters, and as a creative, I started like reading papers and stuff, and I was like, no, this is reminding me too much of my chemistry days. I'm not going to do that. So I've kind of gone to the more intuitive, let's play around with everything and see what happens. So I thought we could do a live play around, have a look at some of the parameters, see what happens if you chuck them to the extremes. And yeah, so hopefully, you know, if you're kind of a little bit afraid of spending money, this can show that the AI, like, it, you know, of course it costs. You're using a service, but it's pennies, and it's kind of, it's fun. And kind of as the more you use the software, the more you'll kind of get to know what you like. Like, I kind of know which models I like now on the whole. And so I try out new things when new models come out, but I still have the same that I default to. And I think that's kind of what happens over time. You kind of, you know what matches your writing style. So yeah, let's give it a go. So what I've done in these tests, I've made, so scroll down. I've made 2 additional GPT prompts. We're using the new model. Oh yes, good. Yeah. So I'm going to try out the 3 free models as well to see what they can do. Would you guys rather see the free models first or my experiment with temperature first? Let me know while I have a stretch. I was about to go and switch tabs and I was like, wait, everything's on the screen. But yes, let me know. Do you want to look at the free models on? So I believe if I go on the Open Router tab, yeah. So there's Mistral, which has been free for a while. Then there's the Hugging Face Zephyr and Toppy, which has quite a decent context window actually. So that's kind of cool. I didn't realize it had 32K. Huh. Okay, temperature. Let's do that first then. Unless anyone like immediately is like, no, do free first. You know, yeah, let's do temperature. So if I go on edit prompt, I can show you what I've changed. So my instructions are kind of mostly the same as the system prompts. I've just kind of added some things like, please avoid doing these, see if it works. And then on models, so the default GPT-4 Turbo is 1.3 with a top P of 0.7 and a frequency penalty of 0.3. Looking at that, I still have no idea what any of that means. So I opened up some tabs and did some research in advance so I could talk you through it. So temperature, so if you have so temperature is kind of like, how creative the AI is, like if it sticks to kind of more predictable words or if it goes a little bit off the wire. So if you look at these examples, it was kind of saying that you get a very kind of textbook answer for low temperatures, but as you go high temperatures, that's when you start getting like symphony of flavors, and it's a little bit more woolly and kind of I think that's probably when you start getting more of the GPT-isms. I'm not sure though, so we're going to find out. So we'll stick with just this at first. So I've got the default system prompt with 1.3, and then I've made 2 others, a GPT with 0.8, so that's 0.5 lower, and then a GPT with 1.7. So looking at, I've not got it, but, so GPT-4 can go between 0 and 2. They're kind of the min-max. And with creative writing, you usually want to go for a higher temperature. So we're going to see what these 3 do with the same prompt, essentially. So the beat that I'm doing is Abby begins so she's on the tube at the moment after having her coffee. So Abby begins people spotting, judging fashion choices and loud headphones. She spots a guy at the window, his hair slowly growing with static. Then she notices more people suffering the same affliction. Her phone vibrates in her pocket and she pulls it out. It is fully charged. So that, earlier in the novel, or in the chapter, we note that her phone's lost battery. So this is like her noticing things going wrong. Abby frowns, wondering if wireless charging has finally come to this line. So it's kind of, she's not making any connections, but it's kind of showing us as a reader that things aren't going quite right, and it's something to do with electric or lightning or something along those lines. So with let's go with just the standard default settings. So through the crush of bodies, Abby caught glimpses of the other passengers. A woman's garish hat drew her eye, a concoction of feathers and plastic fruit that bobbed with the rhythm of the train. That kind of reminds me a bit of Neville's Gran in Harry Potter. Abby's lips curled into a smirk. She imagined birds pecking at the wearer's head, mistaking it for a buffet. Her gaze wandered to a teenager whose headphones blared music loud enough for the entire carriage to hear. Abby could feel her own ears twitch in annoyance. She thought about asking him to turn it down, but then reconsidered. It wasn't worth the hassle. She shifted her attention to a man leaning against the window, his silhouette outlined by the flickering lights in the tunnel outside. He seemed oblivious to his hair, which stood on end, each strand growing with static until he resembled a startled porcupine. Abby's smirk widened, but as she scanned the crowd, she noticed others suffering from similar electric hairstyles. A collective halo of frizz seemed to have descended upon them all. How odd. The train jostled over uneven tracks, and Abby felt her phone buzz against her thigh. That was impossible. She just cursed its lifeless screen minutes ago. She pulled it out and stared at the full battery indicator, disbelief etching her features. Wireless charging on this line? They couldn't even keep the escalators running properly, let alone install something so advanced. See, that's then pulling information from earlier in the chapter, which is pretty cool. Yet here it was, evidence in hand, some kind of magic had happened. She peered around, half expecting to see someone with a wand tucked in their coat pocket. Abby tapped her phone screen, watching it as it obediently lit up with notifications she'd missed during its unexpected hiatus from power. A news alert caught her eye. Underground Trials, new wireless tech. Are you feeling charged up? Okay, so this is something that it's kind of trying to explain things in a way that I don't want to happen. So I'll delete that. She leaned against the pole and allowed herself a small grin at this unexpected turn of events. For once, something in the city had got right without making her life more difficult. She took another swig from her flask and returned to watching her fellow passengers' hair dance with electricity as they rode through the underground tunnels, oblivious to their own personal energy crisis. Okay, while I just do this quick edit, do you want to see the low temperature or the high temperature one next? Okay, high temperature, I can do that. So that's the more creative. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, so what's great about this is, if I go here, it's not going to take anything that is written below into consideration. It just takes above. So I can leave all the stuff that I've generated before. It'll be there still, and then I can kit bash or whatever. So generate tests for the 12th of November, and then scroll down to my high temperature prompt. And let's see how crazy. Okay, so the train swayed and rattled along, each bump sending ripples through the tightly packed bodies. Abby shifted her gaze away from the stained floor and onto her fellow passengers. It was a diversion, people spotting, but it made the ride bearable. A woman across from her, buried in a bulky coat despite the underground sweltering heat, tapped her foot to the rhythm of music only she could hear. The woman's headphones were so large they looked like earmuffs, dwarfing her head. Abby couldn't help but smirk. She imagined a world where everyone's thoughts could be read by the size of their headphones. This one was clearly a loud thinker. Next to Headphone Lady, a bloke had somehow squeezed into trousers 2 sizes too small. His shirt strained against his chest with every breath, buttons threatening mutiny. Abby mused on whether he'd robbed a mannequin on his way to work or just lost a bet. Her eyes drifted over to a chap standing by the window. His hair stood on end as if he was an invisible wind tunnel. The hairs rose and fell like blades of grass in the breeze, conducting their own silent symphony. She squinted, and sure enough, there were others. Another passenger absent-mindedly patting down her hair, which stubbornly refused to stay put. A teen whose mohawk seemed possessed by its own electric life force. A buzz from her pocket interrupted her musings. Her communicator vibrated against her thigh, startling in its unexpectedness given its earlier lifelessness. She pulled it out, brow furrowed. The screen glowed back at her, fully charged. Abby turned it over in her hand as if it might reveal its secrets. Her gaze swept across the carriage. Everyone's hair standing on end suddenly made sense if wireless charging was now part of the train's amenities. But when had that happened? And without any announcement? Wireless charging on this line now? She asked the nearest passenger, a woman with hair that defied gravity more than most. The woman glanced at Abby's phone and shrugged non-committedly before returning to whatever had held her attention on her own device. Abby's frown deepened as she spotted the she slotted the communicator back in her pocket. If they could charge phones just like that, what else were they doing with all this power floating about? Okay, I think I like that more. Like, that's kind of, it feels like it's got personality. Like, I feel like, what do you guys think hearing that? Like, I kind of like, I feel more of Abby's internal voice. It feels a lot more judgy. And yeah, I definitely get that creative vibe from this. Let me know what you guys think while I take a sip of tea. My boho flat vibe. No, I'm really liking that. And it's kind of, it didn't, in a weird way, it kind of also stuck to what, it didn't invent additional information. It just kind of expanded on ideas that were already there, which I appreciate. That would need a lot less editing, I think. I'd have to see what it would be like if, like, in other prompts, but yeah, no, that's quite fun. So I will now try the low temperature version. The train rattled on, each jolt and shudder echoing through Abby's bones. Her gaze wandered, skimming over the sardine-packed carriage. She couldn't help but take in the odd ensemble of fashion faux pas and mismatched attire that always seemed to congregate on public transport. There was a woman in fluorescent tracksuit that hurt Abby's eyes, her oversized headphones leaking tinny beats into the cramped space. Next, Abby's eyes landed on a man wearing trousers that could only be described as aggressively tight. So it's gone for the similar themes, actually, each time. And I never mentioned, I just said judging fashion choices. A bloke nearby spotted a tie so loud it could have directed traffic, and Abby couldn't suppress a smirk at the sight. She shifted her focus to the window, where a young fellow with hair like a bird's nest pressed his forehead against the glass, oblivious to the world. His hair seemed to be alive, strands lifting and falling as if dancing to an unheard rhythm. Static electricity, no doubt. Then she noticed it wasn't just him. Other passengers' hair began to stand on end too. A girl's ponytail twisted and twirled like a miniature tornado, while an elderly man's few strands lifted skyward as if reaching for salvation. Her phone buzzed against her thigh, interrupting her observations. She fished it out from her pocket, her brow creasing in confusion. The screen glowed with life fully charged. That was impossible. It had been as dead as disco just minutes ago. Ooh! AI has some opinions there. Or it's using her boho things. She held up the device to her ear, peering at it skeptically. Okay, that can't happen. She's just looking at it. Could they have finally installed wireless charging on this ancient line? She tapped at the screen and flicked through her settings, but found nothing amiss or new. Abby looked around. No one else seemed to have noticed or cared about the suddenly energized phones or hairdos. They were too engrossed in their screens or lost in their own little worlds. She shrugged and tucked her phone away again. Okay. So again, that's not bad either. Okay, I was kind of expecting there to be a very clear, like, one of them was a lot worse than the other. However, there's actually stuff in all three versions. I love, I know, miniature tornado just going around. Funny she should say that. But yeah, no, I actually really like all three of those, and I would certainly use bits of all three. Which, yeah, okay, that's interesting. What I'm going to do is take make a snippet. Keep the high temperature text for now, rather than doing all of the kit bashing and stuff on screen, and just continue. Hide the beat. Okay, so I'm going to take that, and now I'm going to start playing around with some of let's go with the free models first, and then see what other models do. And we can just kind of like have a bit of a chat, see what we like, what we don't like. Again, everyone's writing styles are different. Like some people, like I know one of the users on Novelcrafter, has the text generate, so they've got something, and then they change the perspective and rewrite it, and it's kind of more as a even more detailed beats. And so for that, there's a lot of models that work. However, I love seeing the creativity that it can do. I'm just like, I want to see like random things thrown out, like miniature tornadoes and like crazy. Like GPT and Claude are still kind of my favorites. I'm really loving this new GPT model. I think that's something I'm gonna get addicted to. At least it's cheaper. Okay, Mistral 7B. I'm assuming it's that one. Okay, that's one thing I already don't like, that it kind of starts off with a full name as if it's starting the story. But, it's an easy fix. So Abby clutched her coffee cup tightly to her chest, heart pounding, take a shot. Heart pounding in her chest, the sudden halt of the train had thrown her off balance. Okay, so this seems... So I get this a lot, actually, with, what was it, Mistral? Mistral, yeah. Where it kind of just continues on from the beat. It imagines that the scene beat is what is already written in the prose, and it just continues on, which is fine. Like, it gives you more stuff. But it's not what I was wanting. So, although it's then getting the conductor there. So if I was writing this just manually, I feel that this would be, given Abby's personality, the time that she would start catastrophizing. She would take this and she'd start making it go. She'd be like, okay, well, the train stopped. Oh my God, what's happened with this? Well, she'd probably start with she's going to be late. She'd focus on that. And then she'd be like, what if she's trapped here all day? She's not got her lunch with her because she was running late. The coffee's starting to go cold. She's stood up and she's starting to get really hot. Her coat is still stained, and she's not even going to be able to wash it out when she gets to work because she's going to be running so late it's going to stay stained forever. And then she'll start catastrophizing about the train, and what if something happens on the train? It would keep going. That's what, if I was writing, I'd probably start giving her a minor panic attack. Yeah. Oh my God. But yeah, so that was Mistral. Let's see what Hugging Face Zephyr 7B. Oh, so sorry. Hugging Face Zephyr 7B. Do I not have that one? Okay, do the general purpose prompt have it? Okay, let me quickly configure a prompt and tests, add model, Hugging Face Zephyr 7B. Okay, that's done. I can go back to the right interface. Oh, okay, so Silver Fox. This is building up to the train stops because of the electricity. And what do you think is going to happen if a train stops and no one knows that it's stopped? This is building up to the case that the investigators are investigating. That's kind of how I'm building it up. Like, so the way I'm doing this is kind of like the prologue is kind of the crime in a way. Sometimes, like, if a model's free, especially, and everyone's using it, it's going to take a while to start generating. So if it doesn't, you know, big deal. Still loading. Yeah, this is to get us interested in, it's get us invested in Abby, and then bad stuff happens to her. Wow. Hugging Face, you have done wonders. I will try that again to give it a fair chance, but not impressed. I will change so what's the Hugging Face? I will tell it the max tokens just in case. That makes a difference. I don't know if it'll make a difference, but that's what that's my first step to seeing if anything's going to happen. Like with AI, especially at the moment, troubleshooting is like half of the struggle, like just trying to work out what's not working. But you know, it's also part of the fun. Do you think this might be an issue with context window, just that there's so much that it's overwhelming the... Because if it's taken the 3,000 words before, I know there's not 3,000 words, but even 1,500 words would start. Okay, I'll give it one more go. Okay, it's not wanting to work. That is rude. What was the other free model? The other free model was Toppy. 32,000 context, so hopefully better. After this, would any of you be interested in me doing the same experiments that I did with temperature with GPT, either with another model, like if you want me to try it with Claude, or I could try looking at like top P, frequency penalty and stuff and show the difference between doing the extremes of that? Let me know down below while we're waiting to generate prose. Try that again. I think you can see from my face, I think nothing turns me off more when reading than a giant block of text like this. It's decided that it's going to have the train moving again. Gee, thanks. I suppose I can't complain, it's free. Okay, well, I'm just gonna... Oh, okay, so, I mean, I liked that it was kind of doing some kind of panic attack and getting her to breathe. Okay, well, I think we can get rid of all of that, because that is the train moving, and that doesn't happen. Okay, so there's some cool, like, bits here, for sure. Like, it's noticed that only the smartphones, are there. That would happen. She's complaining. That makes sense. Maybe the sign of the universe. Maybe she was meant to stay on this train stuck in the dark with all these people until something important happened. She's dropped her foot. I mean, okay, that is completely unrealistic. Why would somebody who thinks they've dropped their phone somewhere around their feet not just like go on their knees and start looking for it and then start complaining about the sticky floor? Oh my god, this is going like fantasies. Oh my god, like, no thanks, don't want some space fantasies. This, isn't quite sci-fi yet. Okay, so she has kind of catastrophized some stuff. So it is kind of keeping in character, but it's also like, it makes it kind of feel like a bit over dramatic, and a bit like much, just extra. It's like Claude on Juice, but like way worse. Let's have a look at the chat. You can literally build your yeah, so I use the GPTs to have kind of like a world Bible. So I've kind of uploaded books that I've like completely written, and I can get it to like make codex entries based on the book or various other things. It skims through, and like, because I know the book quite well, I mean, given that I wrote it, but yeah, I can direct it to chapters if it misses stuff and be like, have you considered the stuff in this chapter? Which I know it hasn't. So yeah. Okay, let's, that was Toppy. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is configure prompts tests. I will, so what I'm doing is I'm going on to the duplicate button. I'm going to click that twice. They duplicate at the bottom, so you won't see it, but they're there. So we know that the default turbo is top P 0.7. So looking at this, so top P is the parameter for controlling diversity. So it's the nearer to 1 it is, so the higher value, is the more repetitive or like the most probable word next. So like if you had like a banana rather than a apple, that kind of thing. Low value, it kind of like, it goes a little bit more haywire, which again is fine. So given that the default is 0.7, let's go for 1 and 0.4. So we're kind of going 0.3 either side. But everything else the same. 0.7, so we want... and 0.4. 40%. I'll generate what it would have done for the default, just so that we can kind of see how that would work. A crackling voice over the light. Oh my god, finally, the conductor is speaking first. Like, I have a soft spot for GPT. Like, it sucks for my bank balance, but a crackling voice over the loudspeaker spluttered into existence, drawing a collective glance upwards from the passengers. Abby's gaze followed suit, an eye roll poised as the voice dissolved into static. She tightened grip on the pole, already anticipating the usual excuses of technical difficulties or unexpected delays. The announcement faltered, words swallowed by an abrupt silence. Abby's grip on the pole became a lifeline as the train jerked violently to a halt. A symphony of gasps and muttered curses rose around her. The light flickered once, twice, and then succumbed to darkness. Okay. And then it's going her reaction. I'm just going to, first of all, GPT, 70% top. Okay, I like this. It's showing the people panicking. People, okay, it's got conversation. That's good. People are reacting. Eavesdropping on a call. Okay, that's weird that someone else is calling, but there's no signal, so that would be something that I'd have to look at. Oh my god, something else is palpable. Instead of the tension is palpable, the inertia is palpable. I don't think I've ever seen it use palpable in a different connection to tension. That is kind of exciting. I wasn't aware that was something an AI could do. Okay, interesting. She's making motions. She's trying to do something. Very protagonist mode, I feel. Yeah, I feel like this is writing it as if she's like a protagonist, which I kind of vibe. Like, everyone's a protagonist in their own life. Okay, let's try the 100% where it's going for like the least creative, like the most obvious answer. Oh, I like that. Instead of it just going silent, it's like you get that horrible feedback sound. Like, that is disgusting. I hate it when that happens. Or like, it's like when chalk goes down a board. Draw the eyes heavenward. As if the 40-a-day ceiling. Oh my god. That's smoke. Yeah. Corey, you should have done it. You should have taken your blue spanner and wrote in every paper about inertia being palpable. Seconds yawned by unlit. Okay, it's taken... Oh my god. Abby... Well, I'm just gonna... That's tripping me. Abby swearing. It's picked that up. Okay, so... I have no idea what the fuck it's done here. Oh my god, I probably shouldn't have sworn. I mean, I have no idea what's going on here. This is just something completely different. With sniffing sprawl, sliding door, miles away, murmuring squall, did consoler. Okay, well, I think all of this is just word vomit. Yeah, GPT Turbo swears. It understands context, I guess. I mean, I have no idea what Shoreditch's Babes or Hoxton's Finest Whiskey Committee outfits any of that references, so I'm assuming that's an American reference, but I mean, it's doing alright for the British spelling. Okay, so that was when it was, so if P is 1 rather than 0.7, it kind of goes into self-destruct mode. Let's try Turbo 40%. Oh my god, it's giving someone a heart attack! Okay, I really like that. I don't know about you guys. I'll kind of summarize it. So it has the crash, then it's having people actually having issues and starting to communicate. It's got conversations in, it's got people panicking and acting in response to the issues. Like, there's some GPT-isms, but there's a lot here I could use. Like the fact it's got the staff, it's got people acting with initiative and like on their own like impetus rather than just being like what I feel is natural reactions, because of course you would have some knobhead who tries to open the train doors because, you know, this is, yeah. No, I like this. What do you guys think? Which was your favourite of the three versions? Please don't say P equals 1. What I'm doing here is popping those all into a doc so I can do some kit bashing later. I'll keep the 0.4 version because it's kind of got some cool things in it for now. Yeah, I think 0.4 was my fave. I might, after we've done some like penalty testing, maybe see like combining our favorite parameters and see how off the rails it goes. I'm just going to get rid of that and just because I know that doesn't happen. Okay, so obviously because people are beginning to panic, which has happened in this future thing, I'm just going to say, Abby has had enough of all this shit. So, generate prose. Okay, let's go. So, from what I can guess from frequency penalty and presence penalty, the difference is that, so saying that frequency penalty penalizes the model for generating words that it has seen during training, so like kind of its memory banks, whereas presence penalty is the penalizing for what's already in your input. So frequency penalty is kind of more creative in general. Presence penalty is stopping it repeating the same things over and over again. So which one of those two do you want to try out first? If you have any preference. I guess. And also space, what would the default presence penalty be if there's nothing clicked? Oh, couldn't help but feel, yeah, that's another, it just constantly comes up and you're just like, at least palpable is only one word generated that you can delete. But yes, the space, what is the presence So while I wait for Space's answer, I'll do the frequency penalties first. Right. So we start with the normal turbo. Oh, is it just 0? Okay, well we'll just do one test then, or like maybe do a 0, a 0, a 0, a 0.5, and a 0, a 0.5, and a 1 or something, or a 0.2 and a 0.5. We'll have a look. Okay, so this is her looking at her hand, starting to panic, another train. Oh, the lights is another train. Survival trembled fear. She puts past. Oh wow, she's starting a stampede here. She reaches anyone to pull them along with her, but. Okay, dramatic. I like. This is. What is this? Presence penalty. .3 it'll be. Freeze. Okay, let's see when the frequency penalty is really low. Okay, I mean, that is rude. It's, no, there is meant to be a crash. Like, I mean, yeah, great, mother and clutching a child and people being excited, but not quite what I was asking for. And let me know as you're looking at these which your favourite is, because I'm very curious. So now this is with the frequency penalty turned right up to 0.6. Okay, I feel like I can't imply the crash. I feel like maybe this is in my prompting, this issue, so I'm going to try those again. Okay, I like that. That is much better than the one before. Okay, and then I'll redo the. This was 0.6. I'll redo the 0.05 just to make it fair. Practice these. Have another shot. Frown creasing her forehead. Okay, I feel like with the frequency penalty down so much, we've got more GPT-isms, and it feels like a little bit more clunky. What do you guys think? Yeah, I like 0.6 more. I think that's my favourite thus far. Okay, so if that's parental preference... So what I'm also going to do here now is just quickly mark which are better and which are worse, because I will forget. And it was the 40% that was better, wasn't it? Better. Worse. What did we say about temperature? Which do we believe? Yeah, I feel like the temperature didn't really make a huge... Or like it gave different answers, but not any that were better or worse. Okay, well, let's try the presence penalties. I'm just going to move all of these. Snippets are so convenient. Chapter 1. Kit bashing 3. So we already know what the default is going to do with this scene. We've seen that. So now we're just looking at the... Okay, high temperature was what I like better. Thank you. I told you I would forget these things, and so I'm going to write this down. Okay, this is the... So before we had the 0 presence penalty, this is 0.3 presence penalty. Defiant snap, wow. She has so much emotion putting in her headphones. Okay, so this definitely feels shorter. Like it's more to the point than the previous ones. Like you can it all fits on one screen. It's definitely like more concise. But then again, this is 0.6 and this is going more crazy, so maybe the default is something else. I'll be looking into a pocket. Defiant is there again. A cocoon of bass and melody. Okay, this is having everyone go glowy, which isn't the case, but you know. It's okay. I think I prefer out of those two just the conciseness of the 0.3, but I mean, they're okay, but this, I would probably just stick with whatever the default is. That would be my personal preference. But yeah, what do you guys think? What do you think of presence penalty? I'm just going to make a crazy one now that has all of my favourite things in. And just see how it goes. It might be absolutely terrible, but I kind of want to see. Oh, it's still got their own hand. Ugh, whatever. Okay, this is okay, but I wouldn't in the future do all the ones that were my favourites. I would probably, I'd have to play around. I think there'd be like a combination that would work best. However, that was a really fun experiment, and I'm glad I did it. So presence penalty is, it basically penalizes tokens based on if they've appeared in your text so far. So if you've used palpable, it's less likely to use that word later on. That can lead to some quirks where it finds lots of different ways of describing a character, but it's trying to use more original words, word choices within it. So I think it's good to have something there, perhaps, if you're getting a lot of like kind of repetitive phrases, but on the other hand, it does seem to kind of make things shorter. It seems to make things less creative, I guess, which seems a bit counterintuitive. But yeah, so the gist is it's impacting how the model penalizes new tokens based on whether they've already been made. Okay, I think I might wrap up this session here, unless anyone has anything else they want me to go over, because I'm happy to do that now. However, I think that we've got to the end of this chapter. I'll spend some time kit bashing. If I'll post the chapter on the Discord as well if anyone wants to read what we've done. But that's covered all the things I wanted to show that I do with the software. So yes, any questions, hit me with them. And now I just wait. If you've not got any questions, also comment that in so I know that people know that I've asked. I guess might be. Yeah, when it comes to tinkering, I look for what is the default, because that's a good base. And usually, like in Novelcraft, it'll be a base that's set on like it being creative, at least somewhat. And then I'm just like, okay, well, let's go for some extremes. And then if the extremes are good but not quite what you're wanting, you can like narrow it down or go further extreme. I think it's just not being afraid of having 20 different generations. That's kind of why I made the beats in advance. Just to kind of have something to already go for and not have to think about like what I'm actually writing. But yeah, no, play around with the temperature and everything. Like they make such a huge difference in kind of what the AI will do. I think kind of a lot of the times if you're getting kind of prose that isn't quite what you're wanting, that could be a fix. I need to it's going to be weird listening to my own voice, but I'm going to listen to this afterwards to go back and listen to what I liked, because I know there was one that did like a really good personality, sassy answer, and I'm like, okay, well, I want that back in. I think that was one of the temperatures. So yeah. That's been fun. I'm going to... Oh, you're very welcome, Silver Fox. So I'm busy next weekend, so there won't be another live stream then. I'll probably wait until there's been a few more user interface changes, because I know Space has got a lot planned. And then once kind of those changes have been put in, and we've got the new beta testers, I'll do another live stream towards the end of the month, and I can gather up people's questions and the like. So I'm glad you all enjoyed this.